Delia Farquharson.
A pleasant good afternoon to you, Lady D. How are you today?
Well, it's a blessed Thursday. I'm very happy to be here
So am I.
and to have the opportunity to
Pleasure.
We want to talk this afternoon about domestic violence.
Yes, ma'am.
Which also has a touch of mental illness.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that for one, for the abuser, the person who's doing the abusing, there's more than likely some other things going on. There may be substance use, and there may be, residual charges from childhood, because domestic violence is really an issue of control. And so when you don't feel like you have control over your life in other aspects, then you try to force control over others. And that's what domestic violence is. It's on trying to exercise control over the activities and how another person behaves. So trying to control their behavior because you feel bad or you feel lacking in some way, then you try to force control over someone else.
Right. Now, specifically, we need to address what took place just a week or so ago.
Yeah.
Regarding
really unfortunate.
the young man who murdered the mother of his 2 children here in Mount Union.
Right. And I don't believe the children were his, right? She has the 2 children, and speculation is that she was pregnant with a child for him. But he was previously married, as I understood it,
right.
and then wanted to get back with his estranged wife. And so who knows what happened. They have an argument, and the next thing you know, she's dead. He dumps her body in a park in the Bronx.
Yes.
And she has 2 young children, I think 6 and 7 years old. So, whatever that dispute was,
yes,
more than likely that was not the first time that they were having an argument and a disagreement. And so, this one just got way farther out of control probably than the others before. And I saw someone on one of the programs saying she believed that there were things happening that she didn't want to talk about. And that's what happens. There's a secrecy, and a shame and a stigma around domestic violence that sometimes, those who are being abused don't want to ask for help. And I just want to clarify that men can be abused as well. It's not just women who are abused, right? So men can be abused as well. And so it's really important to understand that we're talking about this in the context of the abused and the abuser, right? And, and how the abuser tries to exert their will.
Yes.
By separating or isolating or putting down or shaming or making the other person feel bad. That's how you them down so you can start to control and make them feel like, oh, nobody else will love you, nobody else wants you, and so it's easier to then be able to abuse the person.
And people fall into that would believing that I really am not worthy. Nobody will want me.
Right.
It is said to them so many times. Now somebody else might say, nobody can say that to me and I will believe it.
Right.
But everybody's situation is
different.
It's different.
Absolutely. And that's why we can't judge, right? Because what happens is, then we all come with our own set of experiences, unique set of experiences and the life that we've had. So if you have someone who may not have grown up with high self-esteem, then that person is probably more likely to fall into a situation where somebody's going to say, you're no good and you're ugly and nobody else not going to want this, that, and the other. And so when you say that to that person, then it's easy for that person to believe it because they were inclined to believe it from before, right? From the beginning.
Yes. I'd like to say, first of all, a very special good evening to Touch FM Radio 105.7 in the Bronx. Welcome, everybody. And to those of you who are tuned into Linkage Radio 101.5 FM, if you would like to call in and to discuss the topic with Delia and myself, you may call 914-600 or 228 914-202-4934. Now, Delia.
Yes, ma'am.
We hear so many times about domestic violence, whether people are getting beat up continuously or cases of murders happening. And we ask ourselves, those of us who are outside of the box, we ask ourselves, why don't they leave? Why don't they separate? Why don't they go to the authorities? Why don't they? And we keep asking questions. Why don't they? From your professional opinion, Why don't they?
Because it's that is easier said than done. A lot of times when the abused person tries to leave, is when they are at greatest risk, right? Because that's when the power is most threatened.
Yes.
So when you try to leave, then that is when the anger flares. That is when the person is at greatest risk. So if someone is trying to leave an abusive relationship, it has to be very delicate. Now we have such a campaign in New York State where medical professionals are encouraged to ask women in a very discreet way whether or not they feel safe at home. Right? That you ask the question, do you feel safe at home? And it's a coded way of asking, do you need help? Yes. There was also another campaign where women had different design like 3 dots or whatever it was that would indicate that they needed help from a domestic partner. And that's why, for example, Lady D, that the women's shelters that exist, the one that exists here in Westchester County, the address is not public. Because more often not, when an abused woman leaves her partner, and especially if there are children involved, and they take the children with them, that man may be in such a rage that wherever they are, they will find the woman and try to hurt them.
Now, in this particular case, in this headline, we wonder what could have caused him
to be in such a rage.
Yes.
Right. And who knows, right? So one of the news reports that I read said that, she was pregnant and he wanted to go back to his wife. So we could speculate. We just don't know. But whatever it is, it was probably something that he wanted her to do that she did not want to do, right? And so in trying to exert force, or it's becoming it becomes a argument. And then the next thing you know, he has choked her death. Yes. Maybe he did not intend to kill her. Maybe he intended to scare her or whatever it was. The rage is so much, it's so uncontrollable, that the next thing you know, you have a young mother who sounds like a beautiful soul who's dead, and 2 children are left motherless.
Now the impact of it is so great because there's family, there is church community, and then there's your community in which you live, which includes everybody. So everybody is touched in some way or form by what happens.
Absolutely.
And it's really, really sad. Now, most times, even if we watch the movies, a murder is committed out of anger, and it's at that point you find the perpetrator realize what he or she has done. And I'm sure that's what happened to him.
It seems so. It's so because he, they were looking for him after she went missing for 4 days. They were looking for him, and then it seems like he realized, okay, what he has done. He sought his lawyer, and then he went in and confessed to the crime and told them where her body was. So it is really sad all around that he did not have the ability to withdraw himself from that situation, because people fly into rages. And it sounds like it might be something like that happened. But Lady D, I want people to understand that if you're in a relationship where you are being abused, or you feel like you are not safe, then it's really important to know that help exists. Like I said, that there are women shelters that exist, and shelters for, we have to think about relationships as well, where men also may be at risk. But there's a note that I wanted to share, which is the national hotline number, domestic violence, and that number is 800-942-6906. And I wanted to get the hotline number out there, and not just a number for Westchester County, because wherever people are, they and you need help, that you can call 800-942-6906. And they have most of these shelters have trained professionals who will help you, who will relocate you, who give you it, so you can just leave literally with the clothes on your back.
I
right?
see.
If you feel like your life is threatened and your children are not safe, you can literally leave with clothes on your back, because they will provide for you. You can start again. And it's important for people to understand and to hear that.
We have heard in the past of victims who have literally stated that they stay because, one, they have nowhere else to go.
Right.
Two, they are being supported, and usually it comes down to finance. Somebody's paying, taking care of them. Some of these people, they don't work, so they either stay home, what have you. And you say to yourself, well, these are their holding factors.
Right.
So even if they are being severely abused, you'll see people walking out there to tell you they bumped into a door,
Right.
or a wall,
Or they fell off the bed,
or
right.
some excuse.
Right. Because, and a lot of times when the mind has become so entrapped by the abuse, and that's why I think it's really important to stress that there is help out there, and that there is help and
Yes.
especially for victims of domestic violence. And I'm not saying that it's going to be easy, but it has to be easier than living every day in fear, because there's a lot of fear that exists in the domestic violence relationship. There's a lot of fear, because fear is an important element for control.
Yes. I
So
agree.
so
I
it's really
agree.
important that you understand, because everybody deserves to live well, to live a life where you can have some sense of peace of mind, and for your children to feel safe, because oftentimes if the adult in the relationship is being abused, if there are children, the children sometimes is being abused as well. And not just that, but children who are exposed to domestic violence, who witness domestic violence, are traumatized. All the research shows that children who witness domestic violence are always display some kind of behavioral problems in school.
Yes, and I recall several years ago I had an interview with a gentleman who is now a minister, but he said to me that when he got married, as much as he loved his spouse, he realized that he was doing the very same thing that his father used to do. He started slapping her up here and there, and he realized it was getting out of control. He had to go and seek help.
That is, recognize that, because it is a cycle, right? So what witness as a child, you're going to think that's normal or typical, and so then that's how you resolve conflict, because you think, well, I am the man, I am in charge,
Right.
and so therefore you treat a woman like a child, because that's what he saw his father do. And then at least he had the insight and ability to recognize that no, this is not right, and to seek help so he could have a healthier relationship and cycle, that his children won't be exposed to that and won't live with that burden for the rest of their life.
And also, they say some of the signs that you look for, if a woman is from the standpoint of a woman, if a woman is in the presence of several people, but she hears an elevated voice of a man and she cowers a bit, he's not directing it at her.
Right. Okay.
You can detect
that somebody
that
who's
something is wrong.
Right.
That something is wrong.
I mean, I printed up Lydia and some things that I just wanted to go over. Right. It says, talk about recognizing whether or not you may be in an abusive relationship. Right. It says, do you feel afraid of your partner much of the time? Do you avoid certain topics out of fear of angering your partner? Do you believe that you deserve to be hurt or mistreated? Do you wonder if you're the one who's crazy? Do you feel emotionally numb or helpless? And does your partner humiliate or yell at you, just like you said, Lady D? Criticize you or put you down? Treat you badly so that you're embarrassed by your friends or family for them to see you? Ignore or put your opinions or your accomplishments down? Blame you for your own abusive behavior? So language is, look what let me do to you.
Yes.
Look what you caused me to do to you. See you as property or a sex object rather than as a person. And so sexual abuse also become a part of the the domestic violence, a part of the physical abuse, because it's not just about the physical abuse. It can be about emotional abuse, psychological abuse. So sometimes there are some people who don't lay a finger on you, but just the way they treat you,
Yes.
has you feeling torn down.
There it was a young woman I interviewed. She lives in Brooklyn, and she was so badly abused that the last time he was strangling her in front of the two young children who are now grown-ups. At that time, it's when she started to not breathe and her legs were shaking that he let go of her, and she was able to get up, as unstable as she was, and ran for help. And then he ran away, and so he was on America's most wanted list. That's where he ended up. She said he would beat her sometimes, and she said she couldn't explain to anyone really why she was still staying with him.
Because he had broken down all her defenses. So just think about someone who just feels so helpless, right? So she can't even probably think, where are you going to run to? The shame and the embarrassment, who you going to tell?
Yes.
And can they even help you? Who's going to protect you? Because you believe now, if you run, this person is going to find you, and likely this time is definitely going to kill you because you ran away. And so you can understand why that leaves you feeling so helpless.
Yes. Now, when a family is aware that their loved one cannot be found, 2 days pass and so on, no sign, nothing. Your mind starts to go places. More so, your loved one's body is found in a bush, somewhere,
Thrown away,
discarded.
Yeah.
That must make you feel really, really sick.
Yeah. And I have to say, Lady D, that there's a misnomer out there, misunderstanding, that says that you have to wait 24 hours for somebody to be missing before you. It's not true. You can report somebody missing, so as soon as you think that that person's behavior or actions don't match what they usually do.
Yes.
So if you have suspicion that somebody is, like they would not leave and not call about their children, or they usually say they were going home and they're not home, report them missing as soon as possible. You don't have to wait for any time frame. That's not necessary. And so just imagine the impact on the family. Just imagine the impact on the two young children who now grow up, find out that their mom was killed,
Yes.
and discarded in this way. It's traumatic for the entire community, because we all are exposed to this knowledge, and it's not a good thing.
Yeah, it is. It is Know the Facts with Delia Farquharson, aired right here on Linkage Radio 101.5 FM. The show is Inside the Zone, center stage today, the platform where voices are heard and people connect. What time is it? 7:52 p.m. And if you'd like to call us, 914-600-4228, 914-202-4934. That's 914-600-4228, 914-202-4934. Do you need help? Because sometimes, we do have our listeners, they have been having experiences, or they've had in the past, or they know of people who are going through it. And there are times when we take the position that we really don't want to get involved.
Right.
We hear a shout next door. We hear doors slamming. We perhaps hear a scream here and there, but we don't want to get involved. And why do you think people don't want to get involved like that, Delia?
Lady D, we've developed into a culture where, of course, people think that you have to mind your own business, right? You have to not be so involved in other people's fears. But I'll tell you this, that if you hear the threatening behavior and you can know what's going on, and you can call, especially if there are children involved, right? It is considered child abuse for a child to be exposed exposed to domestic violence.
Right.
So if you don't do it for the sake of the woman who's being beaten and abused, do it for the sake of the children who are being exposed to it. But do something to help,
Yeah.
because we don't want it to get to a situation where you're saying, well, if no, or I should have, but rather be proactive and at least have the police come and check it out.
Yes.
So that if the person develops the strength and the courage to be able to make a run for it, while the police is there, that they might have that opportunity, and you may save a life.
Because too many times we hear that they observed things. When they checked the records, there were no reports made.
Oftentimes that's what happens. But people know, because we live in close proximity, and you can see the evidence, and you see people wearing. If you see somebody wearing clothes inappropriately for the season, or always in the dark glasses or something like that, then you can ask, is everything okay? Is there anything I can do to help? And not in a way where you're looking to inquire into the person's business, into genuinely showing concern and care for others, and saying, maybe you can save a life, right?
Yes,
Maybe you can save a life. Because I wonder if during this argument, did someone hear with Miss Macduff, and did someone hear, and could someone have called the police and perhaps have saved her life?
It's always great talking to you, Delia. Finally, I'd like you to give them the information.
Right. I'd like to say again, Lady D, that it's really important to understand that there is help.
Yes.
That do not have to suffer in silence, that there is no shame, because you are not doing anything wrong if you are being abused. So to seek help. And the hotline number again for New York State is 800-1-800-942-6906. There are shelters all around that protect people from this kind of abuse, and it's really important to take advantage of it.
As always, know the facts with Delia Farquharson on the first Thursday, and it's September 1 today. And Delia, thank you so much.
My pleasure, Lady
I believe
D.
they are listening, and people are always being informed.
Thank you.
I would just like to say congratulations for this past Saturday. We had a wonderful time. Can you just reiterate what was all about?
Sure. Yes, so we had the Awards of Cultural Excellence, which was last Saturday. We honored 5 members of our community for their contribution on a grassroots level, and it really was a fabulous affair. And I have to say again, Lady D, publicly thank you, because the whole thing hinged on your contribution, and so I really appreciate your help and support, and we look forward to doing it again next year.
Yes.
When we're going to do it even bigger and better.
I know. It was great, and Pluto was off the chain. All right. Thank you so much for joining me once again. Ladies and gentlemen, reminding you, next first Thursday in the month of October, Delia Farquharson will be here, and we're talking about something interesting. That's what we do. This is Inside the Zone. I'm your host, Lady D. The show is aired on a Monday with the Monday Drive, keeping you in the know in the city you walk, drive, and reside. 5 p.m., 7 p.m., and on Thursday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Center Stage, the platform where voices are heard and people connect. This evening I brought you Inspirational Zone, and we were in praise, giving our Lord and Savior all the thanks, all the things that He has been doing in our lives. Lend a helping hand. I spoke with Ione Roberts, chairperson of Seed for Life, a charitable organization in Jamaica, and they're trying to raise donations for ultrasound machines for the Princess Margaret Hospital in St. Thomas. And of course, I had Tamika A. Coverdale and attorney Mal Vernon vying for the State Court position on September 13, and wrapping it up with Know the Facts with Delia Farquharson. Thanks to Country Kitchen Pepella Manor, the sponsors of my show. Thank you all for listening to me this evening, and to all the people who joined me here on this platform. God willing, I'll be back next Monday to do it all over again for you. Have yourselves a Bunanunas weekend. That just popped into my head. Have yourselves a Bunanunas weekend, everyone. And please be safe. Don't forget, take it easy. always love yourselves, love your children, and remember in everything you do, it is the will of God concerning your life. Blessings, everybody. Love, 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 love. I'm out of here.
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me more. Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. What is love?
On Saturday, November 5, 2016, Linkage and Free present a gospel concert and dinner in